Yeah, I am Johnny, the singer of Job for a Cowboy. This band has been around shockingly already, doesn't feel like it for a good 20 years. And after about a 10-year hiatus, we're about to come out with a new album called Moon Healer, coming out next month at the end of February. So I am pumped to speak with this individual from the vast expanse of existence where shadows dance on the edge of the abyss, where he emerges a figure of mythical proportions. This is Kris. Kris, it's nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too, mate. That's probably the nicest thing anyone, even my children, have ever said about me. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, man. Good to speak with you.
So, as you say, bro, Job for a Cowboy returned with your new album, Moon Healer, on February the 23rd. So, how are you feeling, mate? Like, what's this period like for you? Like, do you get nervous or do you get anxious? Do you put it to bed? Do you think about what you could have done or should have done?
At this point, it's in the past, and we've taken a break from it. And in hindsight, we're looking back already and seeing what we would have done differently, and we're already talking about what we want to do for the next record in contrast. So, yeah, it's just been a long, long, arduous process, but we're finally here.
Yeah, so tell us a bit more about the album from a musical point of view, mate, and what you were going for with it.
Yeah, the band has evolved quite a bit since its origins. I mean, we kind of started off as pretty much a cookie cutter deathcore band, and then we kind of progressed into a more modern death metal, and we kind of after a release of Genesis, we kind of been sprinkling in genres, of technical death metal and now even some progressive elements. So, I think a lot of people recognize that a band is kind of a cauldron of an evolution of sound, and that's just kind of our motto right now. We like the challenge, and we're the type of band that just don't want to put out the same record twice. So, um, that's just kind of our mindset with everything.
To date, you've released the singles The Forever Rot, The Agony Seeping Storm, and today, I think it was, you released Beyond the Chemical Doorway. So why choose those three songs to represent the album? Did they sum it up nicely, or are they just your favorite ones?
Yeah, that's always a big argument with the band. We usually have a song on the record. We're like, okay, this is going to be the single. These are going to be the singles. But this one, it felt a lot harder than it ever was before. We feel like the songs are all pretty strong, and it's one of those things where we kind of like one song one week and another song next week. But overall, I think these three individual songs definitely encompass the entire record pretty well.
And Beyond the Chemical Doorway also opens the album, mate, and it's an interesting choice. Like, it's got an almost Middle Eastern style intro before exploding into what fans would expect from you. So it's an interesting way to start. Was that to sort of put people offside a little bit to start off with?
No, I mean, honestly, don't have a good answer for that. It's just kind of the way it came out. This is kind of just the. I wish I had a good answer for that, but once I mean, I think we did intend originally when we wrote that song that we wanted that to be the opener. So we definitely wrote it and built it from the ground up with that intent.
You've sort of touched on this before, mate, but Moon Healer is your first album since 2014, Sin Eater, which was a critical success. So was it tempting to sort of rehash that formula in a way, like knowing that people gravitated towards that album? Was it tempting to sort of try and do the same thing over?
Well, after we put out Sun Eater, the band pretty much took a very strong hiatus. Real lives got kind of got put in the forefront. Around that time, I found I was going to become a father. That definitely put the brakes on the band. We were touring relentlessly, nonstop. And at that point, we're the type of band that kind of burned the candle at both ends. We were just nonstop. And I think it was a good collection of being very burnt out, a bit sick of each other, a bit sick of being on the road, plus real life getting in the way. So we kind of had to take our different paths. Fork hit the road. Tony, our lead guitar player, he moved to Ireland and got his doctorates in the medical field. He's doing a lot of medical research in Ireland right now. I went back to college and worked on my degree in computer programming and software engineering. So I do a lot of just automation type work today. But not, I've been rambling so long, I forgot the initial question. I'm sorry.
Was it tempting to sort of rehash the same successful formula?
Right, right. I'm sorry. So yeah,
That's all right.
so due to so because that just we fell off face of the earth. We didn't do any press. We didn't do any touring. It felt like we had some unfinished business after that record, and also just conceptually in the theme of the record, there just felt like there was so much more on the bone that we could work with. That and we just enjoyed the record so much. I think it was by far our proudest achievement as a band to avoid sounding as pretentious as possible. But you know, because of that, we just decided let's just pick up where we left off, and I think it worked out. I mean, we had all this time to look at that record and consider our weaknesses and our strong points, and we just try to focus more at the things that were good on that record, and we try to bring that out more on this new one.
And you've also welcomed our session drummer Naveen Copperwees into the band on this album, mate. So what's he brought to the sound?
Naveen is, I think, an extremely underrated drummer. I mean, he could do it all. He's an amazing guitar player. He's an amazing drummer. He's a producer. I've known him since the very early stages of Job For A Cowboy. We would play a bunch of local shows, like with I think they did a tour with Origin once. We were on the bill. Band called Into the Moat back in the day from Metal Blade. They're on the bill. Um, and then our very first not international, but our first full US tour was with Cattle Decapitation, Misery Index, Animosity, which is Naveen's old band, and Job For A Cowboy was the opener. And those guys really took us under their wing. They really showed us the ropes of touring. And so he was just so we just wrote a bunch of demos and gave it to him. He went in the studio, just played whatever he wanted over it, and we thought it came out amazingly. So that's just kind of the origins with us and Naveen.
Yeah, cool. Now, Moon Healer is a conceptually based album, mate. So can you run us through that concept and how it sort of weaves throughout the record?
Yeah, so I guess you got to start with Sun Eater because it was a collection of songs that it's pretty much a story of a really close friend of the band. He lost touch of reality a bit. He abused a lot of hallucinogenic drugs. He considered himself to be a bit of an alchemist because he would even brew his own drugs at home. He'd be his own guinea pig. He was a bit of a space cadet, and sometimes I think everyone knows that person. They could be kind of fun, eccentric, and just all over the place. But he took it a bit too far, and I think it really put a dark cloud over his life and took a lot of bad directions in life because of it. So, Sun Eater was kind of a third-person perspective. It was kind of viewing on all the choices he made on how that affected his life. And with this new album, Moon Healer, it's more of a first-person perspective where I try to put myself in his shoes, look through his eyes on how all of his beliefs, whether it be religion, politics, the afterlife, could just over the top conspiracies. And it's interesting going through that process because he would actually send these very elaborate emails to his very close friends and very close family of all these topics he was into, and I kind of use those as reference to build the lyrics for this record. So it's interesting in hindsight because now I have a much better understanding of this person. I kind of feel like I can see where he's coming from a bit now.
Yeah, cool. And that will tie in with the great cover art then, mate, that's got a fire-breathing skull in the moon and an assortment of other visual riches. Like I was going to say it looks like a bad acid trip, but you've just explained that it
That's
really is.
that's kind of it. You look at dimethyltryptamine, just a lot of stuff like that. And the artist Tony, I always forget how to pronounce his last name, Cole or Keel. He did the artwork for Sun Eater and Moon Healer, and he's the type of guy that kind of reminds me of this individual who kind of took these hallucinogenic drugs maybe a bit too far. Um, they have a lot of personalities that kind of harken to each other. And as soon as I explained all these ideas and theories to him, he knew of all of them, of course. So the artwork he came back with was just the first try. It was dead on. It was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, it looks great. Now, you sort of touched on this briefly before, mate, but I wouldn't mind going into a bit more depth with you. Like the band's sound has changed quite markedly over your albums from your 2007 debut Genesis to Moon Healer. So were all those changes planned or preempted, or do they sort of more flow on from album to album?
I don't, I don't, I can't say we really plan to. I mean, we've definitely had some lineup changes here and there. I mean, we've had essentially the same lineup since the record after Genesis. But no, I think it just happened just from, like I said earlier, every record that we work on, we like to go back and pick at it, dissect it, and just figure out what we can do better the next time. And I think this has just been a natural progression.
Yeah. So would you say that was more experimentation, mate, or you're still sort of searching for your musical identity in a way?
There's definitely a lot of experimentation. It's funny with the band. I'm the sole original member at this point, and but I wouldn't say, you know, it's my way or the highway. With every song, every riff, every piece, it's a democracy. And if we don't like a section or a riff, um, we throw it in the trash bin. So I guess I guess yeah, we do obviously leave the door for experimentation, and we always embrace it. But it's just it's just always a long process.
Very cool. All right, Johnny. Well, thanks very much for your time today, mate. Your new album, Moon Healer, is out February 23rd, and I had a listen before the interview, mate. And she's an absolute cracker. Well done. Congratulations, and look forward to hearing
Thank you,
more.
man. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
No worries, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day.